Okay, so hello. Today I'm at Lawsforpaws, Vietnam in Saigon. I'm with Elizabeth.
Yes.
And she has had this.
I've been running this organisation for 6 years now, but I've been working in animal rescue in Vietnam for 14 or 15 years.
Have you been always in this location?
No, so we got our first shelter in 2021, just after COVID, and that was in Tan Miloi. And we moved here, we've been here for just over a year.
Okay, how did you find this spot?
Actually, I was talking to a Vietnamese friend and I said we had to move location for our shelter because the other location was like a house and it didn't have any outdoor area. And she said, I know a woman in Tao Dien who has lots of like empty land and sheds and warehouses and things. So she put me in contact with her and she found me this place. So we have the same view as the chicken farm and the $12 million villa with the Maybachs and the Mercedes. So it's just one of those only in Vietnam moments. I don't know, maybe she's only young.
How many dogs do you think you could fit in here?
So we try to maintain a level of around maximum 30 adult dogs and 10 puppies. At the moment we have about 14 puppies and 23 adult dogs. So it's not about how many we can fit, it's about how many is good to make sure all the dogs are not feeling stressed, that sort of thing. We do 5 to 8 adoptions a month.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're always moving dogs and we're very lucky that the vet clinic that we work with will support by having dogs stay at their vet clinic until we have space here for them.
That's really good. How did you get that relationship with the vets?
So actually, because I've lived here for such a long time, when the vet first opened, he was one of the few vets that would take rescue dogs, no questions asked. And I used to help him get those dogs adopted. And then I got quite busy with work and having a family. And it was only when my daughter got a bit older that I went back to helping him with that sort of process of finding homes for the dogs that had come into his clinic. So it's kind of like a mutually beneficial situation.
Yeah. How do you actually find the dogs here? Like
a mixture. So Frank, who is giving you big cuddles at the moment, he was sadly surrendered by his family.
Aww.
So they had some trouble, financial difficulties, and they were no longer able to look after him anymore. Actually, the dad has to go back to Australia, and Australia is a really difficult place to take a dog. So they were actually really sad. So he was surrendered by his family. Nick was rescued from the street. All these other little puppies and that were all from the street.
You just found them on the...
Well, so people contact us about them.
Okay.
Me is a bit of a sad story. Her owner died, and his family was very happy to take over his house, but they didn't want to take her. So they left her on the street, and the neighbours were helping her, and then they brought her to ours. So she got pregnant while she was living on the street as well. All her puppies are adopted, but she's still here. But yeah, so this guy was rescued in Hanoi. This guy was found on the street in Thu Thiem with just running through the traffic and no one else around. Kiki came to the clinic with a really big burn on her face. So sometimes when dogs are on the street, they hang around the street food vendors, and sometimes they will flick hot oil or hot water at them, soup. They don't really intend to hit them, but just to scare them away from where the people are eating. But they caught her on the face, so she had a big burn there.
What do you...
Oh, hang on a minute, stop. Don't film her. Sorry. So it's a comfort thing. She doesn't actually have any milk, and they are comforting each other, and I just feel really uncomfortable about
don't worry. We'll delete it.
Because it's sad that that's what makes her feel comforted.
Oh, okay. And what happens when you have a dog come in, say the one with the burn? How do you fund that? Is it coming all out of your pocket?
No, so we're a 100% rely on donations.
Okay.
We have really active social media, which is how we let people know what we're doing and ask for donations.
Dog. Hey,
come here, Brick. Thank you for the kisses. And then we have merchandise, like we make pencil cases and tote bags out of recycled canvas, that sort of thing, and sell them. We do calendars that we sell online. We have a Shopee store, so you have to be resourceful. Hang on, they're not going to stop. So the other way is that we have an adoption fee, so that helps to cover our vet bills as well.
How do you measure like the price of a dog?
So basically it's by the vaccinations, so they have to be fully vaccinated and sterilized. So the adoption fee goes some ways towards covering those costs, and then the balance is made up with donations.
And what about the food? Is it easy? Because
we haven't paid for any food since 2021.
Wow, okay, that's
so
really
I
good.
use my business skills from having businesses, and I get all of our food donated. We have an amazing woman, Daria, who donates cooked fresh meat for the dogs every week. That gets delivered every Thursday morning, and that's like pork and vegetables, beef and vegetables, chicken and vegetables. Wow. And then the dry food we get donated. We also, since 2022, do not pay for any cleaning products. I get all of our cleaning products donated. Obviously, all the food bowls have to be washed twice a day. That's lots of dishwashing liquid. All the towels that we use for the puppies and that, laundry powder, soap paper towel, poop bags and leashes and harnesses. We don't pay for any leashes or harnesses. We get all of those things donated. So we have to be resourceful. And I'm all about like repurposing, recycling. It's the same with the merchandise that we sell. We always, our mandate with selling anything, it has to be something that's purposeful, not just tat that ends up being thrown in the rubbish. So it has to be something that people can use and is useful. So we try to be economical in that regard as well as environmental.
Yeah. I see on your Instagram that you do like you can volunteer to walk the dogs.
Yes, yeah.
Does that happen every single day? Or
so Tuesday to Sunday, 7:30 in the morning and 3:30 again in the afternoon. So pretty much all of the dogs get to go out for 2 walks a day.
Oh.
And that's what makes our dogs really adoptable as well, because they're already fully trained.
Yeah.
So they can walk nicely on a leash. They understand what it's like to walk on the streets in Ho Chi Minh City, which can be really hectic.
Do you think you'll be doing this for the rest of your life?
That's a really good question. I did a TikTok recently, the other day actually, where I'm standing there with like my pooper scooper and, I gave up an executive level corporate career and Naomi's been to my old villa with a swimming pool and all the rest of it to basically look after dogs in Vietnam. So obviously I will have to retire at some point. But I mean, the way I've got the organization set up now is that there's people that can take over from me when I do retire. There's no point in me being the only person doing everything. So I have another director, Carmen, and she knows all the ins and outs. She actually does all of our social media.
Okay.
And then we've just recently taken on someone to do all of our corporate and ESG. And she's going to, because we're a registered charity in the US, so she's going to help us navigate and getting corporate sponsorship, that sort of thing. Because you can't, it's almost like running a business. You have to be able to grow, help more dogs. We have a project coming up on Condau Island where there's no veterinary care at all for dogs on Condau Island. There's no vet. There's 10,000 people living there and pretty much everyone has a dog or a cat. So we're starting a sterilization program, vaccination program on that island. So in order to be able to help the whole of Vietnam, you have to grow.
Yeah.
We also have a communications director as well who handles social media inquiries, that sort of thing. You just can't grow if you're alone. The one thing my husband said to me, who's a businessman, he said, look, you have to treat it like a business. How are you going to scale things up? How are you going to help more dogs? How are you going to help dogs in other areas? How are you going to share what you've learned about dogs with other people? So we have our education program on the weekend that Naomi was talking about before. So every Saturday and Sunday morning we have students come here and Lucky. They learn how to walk dogs, come here. Something.
Woo!
So that's like education is really important. You can't expect there to be change if you're not helping people understand what that change needs to be. He wants to pee. I can see him. Can you stop licking me, please?
Would you say you have attachments to any of them or all of them?
Oh, Donnie. My the little wheelchair guy that's only got 3 legs.
Okay, yeah.
And he's been with me for such a long time, and finally someone wants to adopt him.
You don't want to let him go?
And I have mixed feelings about it because he's my boo-boo. Obviously he takes extra care. So he's the last person that I give a cuddle to at nighttime, and the first dog that needs to go outside in the morning. I'm really happy that I've found someone who understands special needs dogs and has had one before. Okay. And he's living in a place that's suitable for him. But yeah, it's been he's been my ride or die for a long time. He does my school visits with me.
Aww.
Yeah, so he does all my school visits with me, including the early years, like 2 and 3 year olds, in his wheelchair. So he's been my ride or die for a long time. So I'm going to have to find another dog to come to the education visits. Hello, May.
They're very protective over you.
Yeah, they're like Lucky.
Well, even the sedated one came out.
Yeah, well, she's not actually sedated. It's just the medication makes her a bit, like, sleepy.
Yeah. Oh, she's walking. Oh, she needs a wee-wee.
Yeah.
What do you actually think made you start this? Like, who was the first dog that you took on?
Actually, my dog was killed. My dog was poisoned so that they could break into the house next door to us, which at the time was a company house. And they had a guard that sat out the front. So in order to get into that house, they had to come into our garden and go over the fence, the communal fence. And the first night my dog was barking.
Yeah.
So I got up and turned on the lights and went downstairs, and that must have warned them that if they wanted to do that, the dog was going to bark. So everything was fine the next day, and then the day after that, I let the dog out into the garden like normal. And about 3 hours later, she was just like foaming at the mouth and screaming, and I had no idea what was going on. So I raced her to the vet, and they said there's nothing we can do. She's been poisoned. That night, they broke into the house next door, which also had pharmaceutical drugs there for animals. They are importers of like veterinary medicine and that sort of thing. And the police took it very seriously because they'd taken drugs. So what they did was they came over our front fence and over our little, we had a room for a generator, a power generator, and they followed their footprints. So they'd taken all their shoes and everything off. And I said to them, they killed my dog. Do you think they poisoned my dog? And he said 100% when your dog barked the other night.
Yeah, that was
they poisoned her so that they could come back through this way, and they stole like laptops and they stole ketamine, which was why the police took it really seriously. So after that, I tried to look how I could get involved with making dogs' lives better. Gang! No, hey! Misty! Dollar!
You look cute. He's like an elf, this one. You're like an elf.
Anything the dog wants to say to the camera?
You want to say anything? Adopt me. Adopt me. They're all good.
Me!
This one's so cute. You mignon.
She causes her outbursts.
She's a bit senile, like dementia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she can't see very well, so she can feel all of these changes in energy, similar to in humans.
Yeah.
Oh, also the vet that I work with, Dr. Nia, I could see that he was making a difference in the community, and I wanted to help him as well. So I could see the change in the dogs that were on the street because of the help that he was giving them. Dollar. He was giving out free vaccines, free sterilizations, and within a couple of years, you could see that a lot of the dogs in the community had less skin issues. There were less puppies being left on the street. Yeah, it really made a big change. So I felt inspired by what he was doing and wanted to help him.
If you have any words to say to anyone watching this, what would you say?
Adopt, don't shop.
Yeah.
I know that sometimes you feel like a connection to a certain type of a dog or a breed. However, there are just so many dogs in the world now that you don't really need to be breeding more dogs. And the idea of breeding as well was always to make a breed better.
Yeah.
But these days, it's when you have a situation where you are using an animal to profit, there's always people who will take shortcuts. So they will feed them less, they will keep them in conditions that they don't really have to make any effort so that they can maximize the amount of money that they get. And when you're in those situations, there's always room for abuse.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that there's a myriad of other things people can be doing to make money other than breeding dogs. And now you have all of these designer dogs like the doodles, Labradoodles, Cockapoos.
It's like curly French bulldogs now.
Oh,
as well.
yes.
That's crazy.
Fluffy French bulldogs is the big thing in the US.
It's so
And
wrong.
it is mixing all of these genetic issues together. And there's a vet group that I follow on Facebook, and there was a woman who said she had just bought a French bulldog, and she shared a picture, and it had luxated patellas, knees, and it was only, 10 weeks old or something. And the vet's advice was, don't go and see your vet. Instead, get pet insurance, because once you go to the vet and they diagnose all of your dog's genetic issues, you won't be able to get pet insurance. And she said, I can't afford pet insurance. And she said, then you should give the dog back to the breeder, because this dog has serious genetic issues. From everything you've described, it's going to cost you an absolute fortune to look after that dog for the next 8 to 10 years that it will live. And she was like, but my family's fallen in love with the puppy. And she said, look, I don't know what to tell you. You asked for vet advice. This is my advice. Get pet insurance. You've said you can't afford pet insurance. Give the dog back to the breeder or sell it to someone else, because you won't be able to afford to keep that dog.
Yeah, it's a shame.
And then they end up getting put to sleep because they can't afford to care for them. So then the vet's next option is, usually they say your only other option is to put the dog to sleep.
Yeah, it's so wrong.
So, yeah, my biggest thing is adopt, don't shop. Like, go to your local shelter. And when you go to your local shelter, you will see poodles, you will see labradoodles, you will see French bulldogs, you will see British bulldogs, Rottweilers, any dog you can imagine, they will also have there. Because it doesn't matter how much someone spends on a dog, when that dog becomes inconvenient, they will dump them.
Yeah.
Can I ask, what are your opinions? I think I already know, but I've seen a rise in these like shelters in Taodian where they just keep dogs in these glass.
Oh,
That's not a
pure
shelter.
breed.
No, not a shelter. Sorry.
That's
like
a pet shop.
Yeah, they're horrible.
Yeah, so that place is really unethical. Those are their teaser dogs.
Teaser dogs.
So what they do is that's marketing. So that gets you interested. So you go inside. And when you go inside and you say, oh, how much is this poodle, or how much is this Bison Frise, or how much is this dog, they then take you upstairs, and that's where they do the hard sell. So they show you all of these folders and catalogs they have for breeding dogs in South Korea. And then you pay for a puppy to come from South Korea. The average price is around $6,000. So you can come here and get one of these adorable puppies for $50 that have been fully health checked, vaccinated, everything. So what we're now seeing is I'm getting messages from people saying, I bought a puppy from there and I took it to the vet and the vet said it has this wrong with it and that wrong with it. So I took it back and they said they would get me another puppy or give me my money back. But they haven't given me my money back and they haven't given me another puppy. What can I do? And it's really hard. Like, what I feel like doing is putting my caps lock on and yelling at them, you could have got a puppy off me for $50. Instead, you spent $6,000 to bring a puppy from South Korea.
Yeah.
So, what happens to the puppy that she gave back? Do they just sell it to somebody else? Do they euthanize it? What happens to the cute puppies in those glass boxes when they get past 10, 12 weeks of age and are no longer cute anymore?
Yeah.
What do they do with them?
Yeah, I've seen some of them, they've been in there for like a year now. I've been in there and I've said this
imagine
is so wrong.
you're stuck in that aquarium for a year. You never go for a walk. They don't give them water and they don't give them food throughout the day, so they don't pee and poop in the cages. So they stay looking all nice. Like, since you've been here, you've seen how often the dogs have had a drink, peed, pooped, which is natural for them. So those dogs kept in those glass boxes, just sitting there all day, thirsty, hungry, and they can't go to the toilet, nothing. So they are incredibly unethical. Most of those places are illegal in other countries now. Well, in Australia anyway.
UK
In Australia, you have to have like a special permit to breed. Your personal pets need to be sterilised. If they're not sterilised, you need to pay a higher fee to the government to stop that sort of breeding. But yeah. And then I've also seen some puppies passed from between different families as well, because they don't care what your circumstances are when you buy the puppy off them. So one of the questions we ask for the puppies is, how many hours a day are you gone from home? So imagine no one's at home for 8-9 hours and the puppy's just running around in the apartment, crying, peeing, pooping, barking, the neighbours are complaining. So then they pass the puppy to another family who also has the same problem. So these puppies are getting passed around as well. They're just unethical and making more and more problems for already overburdened shelters. At one stage, people were starting to breed pit bulls here.
Oh my, yeah, I've seen a
which
few actually.
was like a nightmare, because most Vietnamese people don't understand how much exercise and training they require.
So basically, from what I understand, that the dogs that are put on display are just teaser dogs.
Yep.
They're not actually getting adopted.
To show the
No,
breed.
they're not being sold or anything. They're just to show people the breeds that they have.
So wrong. Oh no.
Are there any petitions being made or any?
It doesn't work. Like, who are you going to present it to?
Yeah.
Look, to be fair, the Vietnamese government has bigger things to worry about than dogs on the street.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're still an emerging economy, so their focus is infrastructure, schools, hospitals, education, those sort of things. A bunch of dogs on the street are so far down on their list of their to-do list. When I go to schools and do my education program, I always say that I hope someone in the audience will be in charge of the Vietnamese government one day and remember me coming to visit them and create laws and change the lives of dogs in Vietnam.
I hope so too.
So you never know. Someone, when I'm at one of the schools, may end up being in charge of the Politburo one day and remember the talk that I gave them.
I really hope so. I know if anyone's watching this as well, take it all in.
That actually makes a lot of sense that when you're saying it's an emerging economy, so compared to the West, where I feel like the humanity for animals is a lot bigger than...
Okay, I'm old. I'm 55. So I was born in 1969. So when I was growing up in the 70s and even in the 80s, people in Australia just let their dogs go out on the street the same way that they do here in Vietnam. So people didn't walk their dogs or anything like that. The dogs just hung out in the backyard, or you would let them go out on the street, that sort of thing. And then the government started bringing in regulations. You couldn't have your dog outside of your yard unless they were on a leash with a human. Your dogs had to be sterilized because the government shelters were being overwhelmed with unwanted puppies. So they brought in laws to make sure all dogs were sterilized so they weren't, because they have kill shelters in Australia. You can imagine studying to become a vet and your first job is killing puppies in a dog shelter. Can you imagine how soul-crushing it would be to have to put dogs to sleep all day at a kill shelter? So the government brought in and forget the ethics of it or whatever, but the expense to the government of having to humanely euthanize dogs and puppies. So those regulations started to come in the late 80s, in the 90s, and now you have what you see now. Like in the UK, it's extremely difficult to euthanize a dog in the UK where you're from. The dog has to be really old, really sick, or has to have severe genetic issues, or they have to have a bite history with aggression. So otherwise you can't just go to the vet or you can't just leave the dog on the street and then it'll get euthanized by the city council. So yeah, that's the difference and this too will come in Vietnam when it becomes more important. Not
right now. Though.
Yeah, we have all the nice roads already in Australia and the UK and France. We have all of those things already worked out, but the Vietnamese government still has challenges in that regard.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait, did you grow up like all the way in Australia? And were you always like very passionate and empathetic?
So my father was always into animals. We always had lots of dogs. We always had like farm animals, that sort of thing as well. Sheep that he saved from different abattoirs and things like that. So we were driving past an abattoir once and there was a sheep loose on the road and he stopped the car and quickly picked the sheep up and put it in his car.
No way.
So he didn't end up getting killed at the slaughterhouse. And he just always had dogs, cats, always had animals around and was always very compassionate towards animals. And I just always felt like it doesn't cost anything to be kind to animals. And he always taught me that people see kindness as a weakness, but you should never feel that way. You should never feel that being seen as kind is being seen as being weak. So he had a lot of those views. Like he used to say, people doubt my business acumen because I'm kind and I don't treat my staff badly and that sort of thing. So in that his generation, like, you were supposed to be above your staff or people that worked for you, that sort of thing. But, you know, he always made his own coffee. He never asked anyone to go and make him a coffee or do anything like that for him. He was like, I remember him having some important clients, some people from the bank actually coming to his business, and he took them to the staff kitchen and made them all coffees, and they're like, do you not have someone to do this for you? And he said, well, I can make coffee and I can make a coffee for you. He said, they're busy working. They're not here to make coffee. And he always said, like, don't ever let anyone make you think that being kind is a weakness. Just do what you want to do, be who you want to be. And if people see that as a weakness, then that will be their problem, not yours.
Can I ask, are you vegetarian by any chance?
I do eat a little bit of protein, yeah. So I have like yogurt, and sometimes I eat a bit of chicken or a bit of fish. So yeah, I do. And I mean, the whole dog meat industry and that here is a whole other topic.
Yeah.
And I think it's, for me, I don't tell them that they're bad people for eating dog meat because dogs are our friends. I don't say that to people at all because honestly that's bullshit. Like, cows are really nice, sheep are really nice, goats are really nice. All these animals, horses, everything are really nice animals, and they can be great companions for humans. So I never tell people they're uncivilized or whatever because they eat dog meat, because that's just hypocritical.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead, what I talk to them about is how the dog meat industry is controlled by the mafia.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so I say to them, do you have any experience with the mafia? And they're like, oh, you know, my nephew, he got involved in drugs and he got involved with the mafia, or they always have some story that includes like some sort of local mafia. So the same way that organised crime works in other countries is how it works here as well. So you get addicted to drugs and then you owe money to nasty guys. You have a gambling debt and you owe money to nasty guys. So no one wakes up one morning and goes, you know what, I'm going to be a dog thief.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy work riding around on a motorbike with a stun gun at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's not. So usually they owe money to the mafia, and that's how they put them to work. So I tell people, when you support the dog meat trade, you're supporting the mafia, you're supporting organized crime. And I say to them, do you like prostitution? And they're like, no, because, you know, in Vietnam, they're very against prostitution. No, that's terrible, poor women. And I said, most of the guys that are involved in the dog meat trade are also involved in drugs, human trafficking, other nasty ventures. So it's actually beneficial for the government to shut down the dog meat trade, because the guys at the top of that trade are involved in a lot of other criminal activity that is really bad for the Vietnamese community. Drugs, weapons, prostitution, human trafficking across the border into Cambodia and Myanmar, where they're working in those scam farms, online scamming people.
I didn't even
and
know
that.
this.
So that's the way to approach it with people. Telling them they're a jerk because they eat dog meat is just not on. It's
Just
not.
need to educate them.
Yeah, that's who's involved with it. Even people who own dogs will eat dog meat.
What?
Yes. I've met lots of people that eat
How?
dogs that own dogs.
You know people that have 8 dogs?
Sure.
I didn't know it was that common to be able to...
Yes, well, I've been here a long time,
Yeah,
so 17 years,
yeah.
and I used to work on construction sites.
Okay.
I used to work in the furniture industry and design industry, and I used to work on construction sites, and obviously as a foreigner and a woman, they were always really curious about me because I'd be drilling holes in walls and doing manual labor, and that was very interesting to them. And they would invite me to have food, and they would invite me to eat dog meat, and I'd just say, look, I'm vegetarian, I don't eat dog meat. And I would go to their houses, and they had dogs at their houses that came inside their houses that were like Frank and me, and
It's like comfortable.
that they petted them and everything, but they still ate dog meat.
Wow. I just thought it was really, really rare, kind of secret, hidden.
No.
Wow.
If you look up chortit on your Google Maps,
How do you spell that?
CHO and then THIT.
T-H-I-T.
Yeah, Ticha.
Okay, yeah.
So dog meat restaurant, and see how many places pop up on your Google Maps.
Oh, in Saigon?
Yeah,
What?
just in this area.
No.
Yes.
I did not know that. I know D4, 'cause when I first came over
Sure.
here, D4 was...
On Chun Nao Street, as you head towards Tan Miloy and 2TM Tunnel, etc., there's a big dog meat place there.
What?
Yeah. But I mean, I'm pragmatic about it. Like, I don't just focus on dog meat. Our philosophy is to rescue, rehabilitate, and rehome dogs that have been abused, abandoned, or are in need of medical attention. If that means we're taking a dog who's a dog meat survivor, so be it. But I'm not focused on just cutting that industry from Vietnam.
Sure. I can't believe that. I didn't know that was so close to
This
us.
guy is from the dog meat market in
What?
Hanoi. This little boo-boo.
Aw.
They sold him to the rescuer for 100,000.
Yeah. You can fact check this if it's wrong, but I think I've read somewhere that the consumption of dog meat is a big because of imperialism back in
Different
and it's because of scarcity of like available
food.
meats around
Yeah.
the
So
world.
during the war and that sort of thing, when people are hungry, similar things happened in Eastern Europe. You don't think
course.
that during the Second World War they were eating dogs, cats, horses,
Yeah.
whatever they could get their hands on because they were starving. So most young Vietnamese people now will say they don't eat dog meat, they don't participate in that it's mostly older people or people with a lower education level. So that if you eat dog meat or you admit to dog meat eating, you're considered to have a lower education level. And if you've lived in Vietnam for any time, you'll know there's still like a pecking order here with education levels, etc. It's also a masculine thing as well. So it's not something that a lot of women eat. It's usually men. And again, in Asia, you have all these superstitions about like rhino horn and, you know, men's virility. So like if you torture the dog and the adrenaline runs through it, then it helps with your virility. In South Korea or in Korea in general, they believe eating dog meat in the wintertime will stop you from getting the flu. It will keep your insides warm, and it's just hocus pocus. Do you know what I mean? It's hocus pocus. The only thing we put on our social media about the dog meat industry is when the government catches dog thieves and prosecutes them. Because that's showing progress. Some other organisations are quite sensationalist. They show pictures of the dog meat trucks going to Hanoi and that sort of thing. And all it does is it leads to a lot of racist comments on their posts. Things like, Vietnamese people are so uncivilized. They're monkeys. They're this, they're that. They're inbred. I don't want those comments. Vietnam is my home. I love Vietnamese people. And also I see on those posts people saying, why should we keep supporting you if all you ever post is all of these horrible situations? Like, what are you actually doing to make change? So our social media, obviously these guys sometimes have sad stories which we tell, but we try to show the impact that we're having. If you look at our 2024, 2025 end of year little video thing that we did, it shows you how many dogs we got adopted. the amazing lives they're living now. Some of them are living in different countries all around the world. Like, we want to 80% of the people who adopt dogs off us are Vietnamese.
Okay, that's good.
So one of these little black puppies with the ridges, 2 of them went to really nice Vietnamese families that live in villas with gardens, that have owned dogs before, that have children, that encourage them to adopt. I have 2 like street-looking dogs that were adopted by a Vietnamese lawyer and her architect husband.
Wow.
So, you know, the 80% of our adoptions now are to Vietnamese people, and I think that's something to be really proud of and something to promote, rather than just talking about dog meat and people leaving hundreds of horrible comments about Vietnamese people. And it's always the people that say that, they usually say Vietnamese people are uncivilized, blah, 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 and then they just usually make a comment to the people who own those sort of organizations, God bless you, you're an angel. And it's like, so you're using all of these horrible words, but you're a Christian? So so yeah, we avoid those sort of posts, sensationalist posts, to avoid that sort of commentary. Then I have to spend my day sitting there deleting and blocking people, which I don't have time to do that.
And I think that just comes from a big lack of
ignorance.
Now that you're telling me that a lot of the dog thieves is because they have to work for the mafia and their own.
I'm telling you now, no one wakes up and goes, I want to go and catch dogs during the night. And because the police often won't do anything about dog thieves operating in an area, it gets out of hand and escalates. And then what happens is the local people in that village ambush the dog thieves. They set traps, they catch them, they set their motorbikes on fire, and they beat them. And what you have to remember is everybody in that situation then becomes damaged. The villagers who perform those acts often get into trouble with the police. They are someone's uncle, someone's father, someone's brother. The dog thieves have families as well. So no one wins in that situation. But thankfully now the police are acting on these dog thieves, because when they're operating in an area, they're not just stealing dogs, they're breaking into people's homes and they're selling drugs, they're convincing women to go to China and work as a nanny, and then they end up being trafficked and married to some old guy in a village. So the police are now starting to do something about it.
And thank you for shedding the light on the causes of why someone might have to go
correct.
steal dogs. It's not out of willingness, but just because they're forced to.
Correct.
I never knew that.
Notice that all of these dogs live quite harmoniously together.
Yes.
Was that always the case, or was there some adjusting that needed to be done?
So the reason why these guys are so calm in that now, I mean, I know it was a little bit excited and everything before, is because they go for 2 walks a day. They go out for a walk, they have their breakfast, they have a nap, they chill out. The only time that dogs are like really fighting with each other and that sort of thing is if they're not getting enough exercise, they're bored. So we do all of this training with people as well. Like you have to have enough time to take your dog for 2 walks a day, train them properly, that sort of thing.
Do you ever get people that aren't able to keep up with their dog, so that they just
give it back?
No, so sometimes people have financial challenges, especially foreigners, like if they lose their job or their business here. So obviously people don't expect that to happen or want that to happen, but it does happen sometimes, and that's how we ended up with Frank. He was adopted off us 5 years ago, and that guy he's married to a Vietnamese woman and has children here, but he had no intentions, obviously, of losing money, but now he has to go back to Australia and look for a job, and his wife and children will stay here in an apartment that doesn't allow dogs now, so they've had to move out of their villa, etc. So he's come back to us, but he's a good boy, and he's actually going to go to a new home next week.
Yay. I'm Boo Boo as well. Yeah. So cute.
So we have everything on our website. So you can go to our website and social media and see all of the dogs that are available for adoption. And on our website, they all have their story there, how old they are, how big they are, how big they'll become, and each dog has a gallery of photos as well.
That's sweet.
So you can message us through the website, you can message us through social media, and we'll send you an application, and we'll get you to fill out the application and then come and meet the dogs. And when you fill out the application, it helps us to understand your lifestyle and what dog might be a good match for you.
Thank you for watching. If you want a dog and you're in Saigon and you can commit, this is the place to go.
Lawsforpaws.
Lawsforpaws.
Vietnam. Make sure you put the Vietnam on the
Okay,
end.
Vietnam.
We are
Vietnam.
Vietnamese, like we are a Vietnamese organization through and through. So we always make sure we include Vietnam on the end.
Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you,
your
and thank
No
you
problem.
thank you to you.
Oh, Bob.